It is championship week, at least conference championship week, with Pete Prisco, who remembers back before the merger. Brady Quinn, I'm Chris Hassel. Let's check out the slate. CBS is kicking off the coverage, by the way, on Sunday at 3:05 Eastern Time, and Pete is going to be there in Kansas City. Can't wait to see what he's going to be wearing, how he looks in Kansas City after his pictures went viral last week.
They went viral, Pete.
It was cold.
But your pictures went viral?
Yeah.
Really?
People were talking all about it.
People were talking about it?
Yeah.
That's not going viral, though. Were they talking about it in the stadium?
Everywhere. Twitter, everywhere.
Everywhere inside the stadium.
It's amazing one miserable, cold picture can get so many people riled up.
I was a fan of the picture with you in the skull cap. That was the one I liked the most.
Yeah. And I don't know where that one
the
came
hat that
I don't know where that
only
one came
your
from.
dome and not your ears.
I don't know where that one came from.
What do you mean?
Who sent that picture out? I don't
You were
know
on
where it
air
came
like
from.
that, apparently. So you're going back to the scene of those crimes. You got the
Crimes?
Chiefs hosting the Tennessee Titans. How do we break it down? Where do we start first with this game, the Chiefs 7.5-point favorite?
I first want to ask Pete, just because you were there, you had to have been surprised by the way the game started last week, given it's Kansas City at home, understanding what's on the line, home field advantage, and they get off to a sluggish start. There's no chance that happens in this game this time around, right?
No, and it's weird because I was in the locker room on Friday and they seem really loose. Maybe they were too loose. They have a basket in their locker room. They were shooting baskets for a little cabbage, I think. And it was interesting that they seemed so loose, and then they took the field and they played so tight. Drop passes. Everybody seemed out of sync, fumbling the football. It just was not a good start. But once they scored the first touchdown, and they went bang, bang, bang right down the field, I sent out a tweet that I said, this is going to be a classic. It didn't turn out to be a classic. It turned out to be a blowout because the Titans weren't very good.
It was a classic comeback.
It's like opening a jar of pickles. Yeah, it's always hard to get the first one out. Once you get the first one out, then the rest just follows suit, right? That was kind of like that. But
plunk.
They started to find their rhythm a little bit. And I thought the thing that stood out to me the most, it wasn't even anything that Patrick Mahomes did on the field. It was how he handled himself on the sidelines. A couple of times on camera, they caught him talking to the offense, talking to the receivers, and kind of feeling more of a sense of urgency. And I don't think this team, because of the way the AFC West was this year, I don't think they ever really felt a true sense of urgency, not like what they did in this game, where they're down by 3 scores, they're at home, it's sudden death, this is it. Knowing what's on the line and knowing how close they were last year to getting to a Super Bowl, and knowing that they could again host an AFC Championship game and have a shot at winning a Super Bowl or getting to a Super Bowl. And that's where you saw this sense of urgency kick in, and then 7 straight touchdowns. It was just ridiculous to watch.
My kind of game, there were only 21 carries by running backs in that game. I loved it.
That's going to be different this week because you got Derrick Henry coming to town. Can the Chiefs contain him, not stop him, that might be hard to do, but contain him enough to make Ryan Tannehill beat them?
It's tough to answer that question because Tennessee is going to run the football. Even if they are stopping him, they're going to continue to keep running to eat up the clock, shorten the game, and also because that's their best formula to win. It's controlling the game in that manner, then seeing after that 15th, 16th, 17th carry, if you want to tackle this big boy. Because it doesn't seem like in the past 2 weeks we've seen in the playoffs, Pete, no one wants a piece of this guy once they have to deal with it 20, 25 times a game. And that's where you see those bigger carries come in the second half once he really starts to get going.
A couple things. Chris Jones has to be in the lineup this week. He went out and gave it a pregame shot, and he just was wincing. He was in clear pain when they decided to not play him. And I think they were looking ahead a little bit, get him ready for this week. It was a bigger game. You got to stop the run, and he will be important in that. 2, I talked to a bunch of the players about tackling Henry and what it's like. Remember, they played him early in the season, and Tyrann Mathieu said that he hit him one time and he thought he broke his own jaw. He said it was like hitting concrete. And, but then you talk to some of the other guys, he said, we can't allow him to get going. If you can make him bounce and don't let him just go straight ahead, that's the way to slow down Derrick.
It's making him stop his feet.
Yeah.
He's a long strider. You make those sorts of running backs stop the feet, have to change direction and alter his course. That's how you slow those guys up. The other thing is for Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to have to devote an extra body down around the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to load the box and really challenge Ryan Tannehill to put up more production than what he's done the past couple weeks. Now, he hasn't had to do a lot, so we don't need to knock him for what he hasn't done because in those 7 completions are 2 touchdown passes that he did make work. And then obviously they ended up winning the game. And if you look at his body of work this season, Pete, he's been fantastic. In particular from a clean pocket, play action pass. He really has been the quarterback that they've been hoping for quite some time. So he's got the ability to do it. The question is whether or not the Chiefs will force him to do it, and I think this offense will.
Well, here's the thing when you play the way the Titans want to play. They want to shorten the game and run the ball. We know that. Sometimes you do that, you go get a field goal. Chiefs get the ball, bang, 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 touchdown. You go get a field goal, Chiefs get the ball, bang, 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 touchdown. Out the window goes your game plan. And I think that, but a couple years ago they went there. It wasn't the same Chiefs team, and they won by pounding the football with Derrick Henry. They beat the Chiefs, remember, in the playoffs. And so
the Marcus Mariota touchdown pass to himself.
Correct. Yes. But they pounded the football in that game, and I think obviously that's going to be the strategy.
Look, that's where this game is won and lost. It's won at the line of scrimmage. It has been for the past 2 weeks for the Tennessee Titans. They've been the more physical team, both on offense and defense. And typically we don't look at Jeffrey Simmons and give him as much credit as he deserves. They're 9-2 when he's in the lineup. I mean, he's been that impactful as a player. He's been a beast. Terrell Casey had 2 sacks last week. He was a big part of them, stymieing really the Baltimore Ravens rushing attack and then getting pressure as well on Lamar Jackson. It's going to be the same exact formula this time. Beat him up on the line of scrimmage on defense. On offense, dominate him, move him off the line of scrimmage, and allow Derrick Henry to get ahead of steam.
Do they rush the passer well enough? That's the question for me.
But you can bring pressure to be able to do that.
If you choke the run off with Simmons.
And rushing the passer is great, and it's good in theory. The problem is if you let Patrick Mahomes out of the pocket, he's going to hurt you. And the other thing is if you're going to be rushing more, then you're sacrificing someone less who can cover Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. And so if you're Mike Vrabel, your game plan has to be to take away Travis Kelce. He is the key to the passing attack. He's what moves the sticks. He's what gets this offense going. Tyreek Hill will have his production, will have his big plays. It's Travis Kelce's the guy you got to key in on.
They took out Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time in the wild card round. They took out Lamar Jackson, who had one of the best seasons in NFL history in the divisional round, a runaway MVP. Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback in the National Football League at this point. How are things going to be different for this Tennessee defense against this attack with all these weapons?
I mean, the one difference is Tennessee's going to be healthier this time around. When you go back to that earlier matchup, there was players who were limited. John Brown, Simmons as well. I mean, you could look at a number of players who were limited in that first matchup. So, look, the Titans still won. And so now they're going to be at full strength. Now they're going to be a team that's coming in with a lot of momentum, that big chip on their shoulder. Then they do not care where they have to play and who they have to play. They want to get you in a street fight and try to win. I think the challenge for this defense is going to be how do they cover all those pieces. And it's not just Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. It's Sammy Watkins. It's Damian Williams, too, as we saw in the Houston Texans, leaking out of the backfield. He may not be running the football much, Pete, but he will play a factor in the pass game as well.
He threw for over 400 yards in that game, Patrick Mahomes did, and he was gimping around. He wasn't healthy, and he hurt it again in that game.
Yeah, it was his first game back.
And he hurt it again in that game. He wasn't the same guy. So I think there's going to be opportunities to make plays against this defense. He is the best quarterback in the National Football League. If you ask everybody, who can I have, they would pick Patrick Mahomes. He's that good. We saw that with the 4 touchdown passes in the second quarter.
Yeah. If you look at the box score from that first game, and I know you guys watched the game with your own 2 eyes, but the box score kind of seems like a blueprint of what the Titans have been doing ever since that win over the Chiefs in Week 10. Derrick Henry goes for 188 and a couple of touchdowns. Ryan Tannehill does enough. Doesn't throw for 300, but less than 200 yards and enough. And the defense, the key there was holding the Chiefs to 4 field goals and then a 5th field goal attempt that they blocked to win the game.
Well, and again, that's what's going to come down to. For the Titans in particular, and Pete, you touched on it, when Kansas City works the ball down the field, because they will get chunks, they will get big plays and move the football, it's the red zone defense. Can they stand up? Can they force the Chiefs to get off the field with field goals? And then can their offense turn that around and turn that into touchdowns? Whether you want to call Mike Vrabel a Bill Belichick disciple or not, it's irrelevant. He played for him for enough time where he understands that game plan and how much that works. And he understands the New England way is having a game plan for the red zone and ensuring that you get stops, you force field goals, and you get touchdowns on offense. That is going to be the difference in this game.
We talk about the Titans not being at full strength. Hey, Suggs wasn't even there, and he's a good run player. Frank Clark was a shell of himself back then. He was injured and he was sick. And Chris Jones was a shell of himself. So I think when you look at this, they're much better on defense. Hitchens wasn't in that game, if I'm remembering correctly. So they're much better on defense now than they were then. I think they're more equipped to handle the run game.
Let's give us a matchup to watch in this game, Pete. I know you like whoever's going to be up against Tyreek Hill trying to contain him.
And I talked to him on Friday, and I asked him, I said, were you ever really healthy this year? And he said, no, not until late in the season. He said that injury was far worse than he let on and everybody else let on in week 1. He spent the night in the hospital, remember? There was real serious concern there about him. Then he re-injured it against the Titans again, and he said it bothered him, but he said he's healthy now. And I don't think we got the full effect of Tyreek Hill the other day. They doubled him a bunch. He got hit hard in that game as well, right there on that shoulder. But I think this is the week he's going to expose the Titans secondary and make a bunch of big plays.
I've got the Kansas City Chiefs front 7 on defense versus that O-line and really Derrick Henry for the Titans on offense. That group is going to have to stand up and win the battle at the line of scrimmage. We talked about how important it is just from the standpoint of not allowing Tennessee to get control of this game, something that they've done the past 2 weeks. And every single time we've watched them go up against New England and Foxborough and Baltimore, we've said to ourselves, they're not going to be able to do it again. They're not going to be able to do it again. And you can make that same case. They're going to Arrowhead. They're not going to be able to do it again. But they've been able to overcome so much of that time and time again. It's been because of that front, the offensive line, the rushing attack, the front 7 for the defense. So the challenge is going to be on the Kansas City's front 7. Can they get stops? Can they stop Derrick Henry before he gets started? And can they put this game on the back of Ryan Tannehill to win a shootout with Patrick Mahomes? That's the formula for Kansas City to have success.
The amazing thing about this run, and I'm saying runs and run for the Titans, is the offensive line was a disaster early in the season. And now, Lewan, Saffold, they're playing great on the left side. Conklin's playing much better. They're healthier. This is a good offensive line.
Dennis Kelly comes in and helps out with that extra tackle tight end spot.
Tennessee was 4-5 going into that first matchup with Kansas City, and ever since that win, they've kind of taken off. All right, the spread is 7.5. Kansas City favored by 7.5 at home. What do you guys like?
I'm taking Kansas City. Look, they're my Super Bowl pick. They're my team to win it. And I think they continue to do so in dramatic fashion. I actually think this game could get a little bit out of hand.
I'm with you. I think the Chiefs are they got their little gut punch last week early in that game and responded to it. Now they won't get gut punched in this one. They will be the one doing the pounding. I like the Chiefs as well, minus the 7.5.
Kansas City has won 7 straight games since losing at Tennessee. But Andy Reid, 1-8 all time against the Titans. Somewhat surprising given the fact that the Titans haven't been world beaters during Andy Reid's coaching career.
The Titans' thorough beatdown of the Ravens was the biggest surprise of the NFL's divisional round. Tennessee out-Baltimored Baltimore, now 1 win away from the Super Bowl. Derrick Henry's been a star. Ryan Tannehill hasn't needed to be the guy, but the regular season has shown us that he can be when called upon. Again, the divisional round, a little wild, wouldn't you say? And here's a look at the trends from that divisional round. The home teams doing well. Here's the funny thing. Usually underdogs do well in the wild card round, and then in the divisional round, the favorites do tend to do much better. It played out that way last weekend as well. Let's bring in a guy that was just like Nostradamus. He was the only one here a week ago telling you to take Tennessee. Went on the website in a flock of Ravens and said, I'm going to be on Olympus and take the Titans. That would be NFL writer, Pick 6 pod contributor, John Breech. We're taking a look at the conference title games in the AFC and NFC. So, look, what are the chances here, John, that you're going to keep riding the Titans title wave? They're at the Chiefs here, getting 7.5.
Yeah, Tommy, I've been riding this upset train for 2 straight weeks, and a big reason for that is because we have watched the human plow truck, Derrick Henry, just mow through defenses. No one has been able to stop him. And the interesting thing is that unlike the Patriots 2 weeks ago and unlike the Ravens over the weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs actually have a bad rushing defense. So if there's any team in the playoffs who I didn't think would be able to slow down Derrick Henry, it is the Chiefs. They gave up nearly 130 yards on the ground this season. They gave up 4.9 yards per carry. That is an astronomical number. That was the 4th worst in the NFL. And that's not what you want when you're going up against Derrick Henry, who's averaging 5.9 yards per carry in the playoffs and 6.3 yards per carry in his past 8 games. Now, one thing, these two teams did play back in Week 10. The Titans won that game 35-32, even though the Chiefs got a nearly perfect game from their offense. Patrick Mahomes threw for 446 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill caught 11 passes for 157 yards. Travis Kelce, 7 catches for 75 yards. I mean, the Chiefs could not have played any better offensively, and they still lost that game. The only thing the Chiefs didn't do was kick field goals, which was costly because they lost by a field goal. So I think, once again, everyone's going to be writing off the Titans this week. And here's one interesting fact for you about rematches over the past 5 years. There have been 7 championship game rematches. The team that won in the regular season is 6-1 in the championship game rematch, and the only loss was last year when the Rams beat the Saints, and we all know that was controversial, so that's an asterisk. Tommy, I am staying on the upset train. I am picking the Titans to cover, and I think they're going to pull the upset here, 30-27. I think it's going to be close.
That's pretty crazy. You're going to keep going with the Titans. Here's the thing, right? So TV execs are going to want Kansas City. I think we can concede that. Here's the funny thing. If the Titans do get to the Super Bowl, they will have beaten the Patriots, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. Just from a pure content standpoint, that's got to be crazy. I can't even remember a time where a team could have that kind of ride there, John.
Yeah, Tommy, to me, this is what I'm calling, they're going for AFC Yahtzee. In Week 17, they beat the AFC South champ. In the wild card round, they beat the AFC East champ. In the divisional round, they beat the AFC North champ. Now they're trying to beat the AFC West champ. And they're also going for the old MVP dominoes. They just beat Tom Brady, who won the MVP in 2017, has won multiple MVPs. They just beat the Ravens with the presumed 2019 MVP in Lamar Jackson. Now they're going after the 2018 MVP. They are just mowing anyone down in their path, and they're trying to do something that's unprecedented by just knocking off every good team, every division champ, every MVP. They are just blazing a path to the playoffs.
And lucky for us, that game on CBS on Sunday.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.